Are you looking for a new motherboard that would not only support current AMD Ryzen CPUs but also might support future CPU models as well as also being budget friendly? Well, you have come to the right place. Hi, welcome to this channel, and today we're looking at the MSI MAG B550 Tomahawk motherboard. Today I'm doing my very first unboxing and review of the MSI MAG B550 Tomahawk motherboard for the newest chipsets from AMD. I got this motherboard recently through a bundle with Ryzen 5 5600X processor as well as Corsair 32GB CL16 RAM, and so far it has been an amazing experience. So, if you are someone who's looking to upgrade your current system with the Ryzen processors and also want a motherboard that is full of features but also not too heavy on the wallet, then this video is going to help you decide. Before we go any further, don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel, and let me know in the comments below if you would like this kind of content from me in the future. Now, without any further delays, let's see what this board is all about. Now, the B550 is an updated version of the B450 motherboards from MSI, which was one of their best-selling motherboards ever. B450 had all the best features and performance of high-end motherboard without an expensive price tag to it. For the record, this B550 motherboard does not support Ryzen 5 3400G as well as Ryzen 3 3200G as it says on the box, which I am told is because of the APU on those chipsets. Now let's open this baby up. Alright, let's check what comes in the box. So you have your motherboard first, the B550. Underneath you would find your two standard SATA cables, your M.2 plate screws, bunch of documents that I'm definitely not gonna read, as well as the MSI sticker that would go nicely on my case. On the other side you have your standard CD which contains softwares and drivers for the motherboard, and some more documentation that I'm definitely not going to read. FYI, all these are also available online on the MSI website. Alright, let's look at the board. Very beautiful board with color schemes of gunmetal and black accents with a little bit of grey. Obviously, just like the previous Tomahawk series boards. So, it has an AM4 socket which will go nicely with my Ryzen 5 5600 CPU and the standard AM4 mounting brackets. VRAM looks beefy and has 10+2+1 phase power design, which is way better than B450, which I think had a 4+2 design. B550 also has 60 amp power stage, which is also very impressive. Also, look at the size of those heatsinks. B450 had similar design as the heatsink, had lot of surface, were very effective and looked very nice, and they have done the same thing here. It also has 4 DIMM slots on here, supporting up to 128 gigs of DDR4 RAM. 4 slots mean dual channel memory which supports speed up to 4866 just in case you are overclocking. For CPU, it has a single 8-pin 12V EPS power connector and your standard 24-pin ATX power connector for the motherboard, which has the ATX form factor. Now let's look at some other goodies on this board, starting with this M2 slot. One of the things B550 brings over from B450 is this PCIe Gen 4 slot. With Ryzen CPU, you have 20 PCIe Gen 4 lanes coming through to here, 16 of which are going to this by 16 slot for the GPU, and the other 4 are going directly to this M.2 slot. So if you have a high-speed SSD, you can take full advantage of this. Below these two, you can find a CMOS battery, 2 PCIe by 1 slots, and another 16 slot, but this one is wired as by 8 slot. This second slot along with the second M.2 slot is actually a PCIe Gen 3 supported only, as the general purpose lanes coming from the chipset itself. B550, unlike X570, has PCIe Gen 3 general purpose lanes. However, this is a huge step up from B450, which used only PCIe Gen 2 general purpose lane slots. Just with this configuration, I already think this is a huge step up from B450 motherboards, because you're getting at least 1x Gen 4 M.2 slot, which is a PCIe slot, which would be very useful for the people who wants faster bandwidth of input and output with the SSD. This is also much more budget oriented motherboard compared to X570, so I think this is the sweet spot between performance, power and budget. I would also like to mention that just like X570, this B550 also support dual GPU setups. However, it is not very exciting, as there are not a lot of applications or games out there that support multi-GPU configuration just yet. Other things that we can find on this board are 2 4-pin fan headers, 1 4-pin 5V addressable header, 2 more 4-pin fan headers, an easy bug LED for easier troubleshooting of the motherboard, a USB 3.2 Gen 1 and Type-C header that has a 5 GB bandwidth. Down below we have 6 SATA ports for 2.5-inch SSDs. Here's our 5th 4-pin fan header, here's our front panel connectors, and our 20-pin USB 3.2 Gen 1 connector, also giving us 5 GB per second bandwidth. Here's 2 more USB 2.0 headers along with the 6th fan header and the motherboard RGB LED light on off switch, so that your PC doesn't have to look like unicorn vomit all the time. I will definitely be using this switch to turn off the RGB lights. It's a very nice addition to this board. Here's our 7th fan header, another RGB header. This one is a 4-pin 12V one, but it's non-addressable. Here's our front panel audio with the audio trace layout, so there is less EMI or electronic magnetic interference. And our very last and 8th PWM fan header, which is hidden above this M.2 slot. As for the I/O in the rear, we got our standard PS2 port for the keyboard and the mouse, a flash BIOS button, 2 USB 2.0 ports, 1 HDMI and 1 display port, 2 LAN ports. One is 2.5 GB and the other one is 1 GB. We also have 2 blue USB 3.2 Gen 1 ports with 5 GB capacity. 1 red USB and Type-C are both USB 3.2 Gen 2 with 10 GB per second bandwidth. And lastly, we have our usual audio input and output ports here. And that's it. In my opinion, apart from the higher price tag than the B450, this B550 is a very good choice if you want to have an entry-level motherboard with the PCIe Gen 4 support. I also forgot to mention that these B550 also have passive cooling solution to its chipset. So unlike X570s which use a fan, these B550s will not break that easily or be that noisy. And that's the end. Hope you enjoyed this video. I will be using this board now to create my rig, which I have mentioned before, with the Ryzen 5 5600X as well as the 32GB Corsair DDR4 CL60 RAM. So stay tuned for that, and like and subscribe if you haven't already so you don't miss that. And let me know in the comments below what kind of contents you guys would like me to make more of. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.